Let me be really, really honest with you. The UK government doesn't like me. Every single person in this room is a genius at something. It is your goal to find that. I had a £500,000 house, block of flats, car dealership, just before I virtually went bankrupt. I use the word genius all the time, but I really genuinely don't consider myself as a genius. And there is a reason that I tell myself this. I believe I have another type of genius, and that's common sense. So I try to embrace with myself as going, I've got common sense. Because if there's one thing that I don't want to lose, it's having common sense. Because I've got some genius friends, really are geniuses, but they can never see the solution to the problem. Not because they can't, but because they're too in depth in being the genius. Does that make sense? Yeah. They don't realise it, but they've got a problem for every solution they create. So they go, if we did this, we did this, we did this, it would solve it. But then that will create that. Whereas what I say is, solve one problem at a time. Don't look to solve every problem. So, with park home living, okay, let me be really honest, really brutally honest.
Mic drop.
Let me be really, really honest with you. The government doesn't like me. The UK government doesn't like me. How do I know they don't like me? Come on, I'm just a normal, simple person that has started a few businesses, succeeded at some, failed at others, succeeded at some. That's really no different than anybody in this room, and luckily one of them has gathered momentum. That's the simple facts. But I've been taken to a select committee. Genuinely, I thought I was going there for an award. I didn't realise it was for 11 MPs to cross-question me and sit there and say, Mr. Best, you're a gypsy, aren't you? Do you think you're a fit and proper person to manage this company? So I said, no. But all the people I employ are. Anyway, but that's true. They did ask those questions. And that was a great learning curve. And because of I couldn't understand that here we have a solution to affordable housing. Not could be, not would be, have. So let's look at the positives and the negatives. Here's the positives. For the resident, no stamp duty, no land registration fee. Okay? Electricity 28% cheaper. Not because they're solar powered, it's 28% cheaper. Council tax, band A. It's the last fluid property transaction to be able to be made in the UK. But most importantly, you can make a verbal agreement with your in-laws and you can transfer it with a swipe of a pen without paying death duties, 40%. So they're the real positives for someone living in a park home. Okay? Here's the negatives. Government doesn't get stamp duty. Government doesn't get band D council tax. Government doesn't get land registry. Government doesn't get 5% kickback levy on your electricity. And they don't get to rob you of your 40%. Of course they hate me. Here's something that's actually really calculatedly shallow. Last year, there were 4,400 odd green belt planning applications, so over 4,000, for building. Out of those, 2 were for park homes. Both refused. Only 2. Because the government would rather give you planning permission to build houses than they would living in park homes. And there is nothing in a country that does not start in a rumour that doesn't come from what we're fed. Government fans the flame of park owners. There are rogue park owners. You don't want to deal with them. There are. There are some bad park operators. No question about it. But there are bad car dealers. There are bad doctors. I don't hear a great deal about them. And on a small sector of that, reason being is because they want rid of them. They want rid of them. So I feel I have a justifiable cause to help the population. I have a justifiable... How condescending for me, a nobody, to stand on a stage up here in Peterborough and say it's my God-given right to help. Well, I'm sorry. I don't care if I start with helping one person. Am I going to help every person? No. I've got people that have got hate pages on me. Honestly, the things they say, they're great. My point is, I'm never going to please everybody. Do you know why? Because nobody likes strawberries all the time, nobody likes oranges, and nobody likes bananas all the time. I can't be everybody's banana, I can't be everybody's strawberry. But as long as I'm most people's strawberry, that's good enough. This takes us back to who you are and about you accepting yourself that you're lucky. Don't look for the small amount of people that want to make you unlucky. I hear the phrase a lot of the time, oh, you're proud to be a gypsy. No, I'm not. I'm happy to be me. I'm just happy to be me. A gypsy is where I've come from. Just because a dog is born in the stable doesn't make it a horse. Do you understand what I'm saying? We are what we are. Don't try and change that. But that's your base rate of where you come from. That's your solid foundation. What I can say to you, and I really do mean this, and it's took me a long time to get here, every person in this room is a genius. Every single person in this room is a genius at something. It is your goal and your God-given right to find that. But you can only find it by knowing who you are first, because that's the beauty of you. Now that took me a long time, because I wasn't always, I wouldn't describe myself as confident, because I'm really not. I'm confident in the words I speak. And the reason that I'm confident in the words I speak is I've been there, I've done it, I've been hurt, I've paid for it, and I've enjoyed it. So all of those things put together allow me to speak not with a forked tongue, but with a golden tongue. And I'll tell you why a golden tongue. Because I wasn't born with silver, but I skipped the silver and then went straight to gold. Anyway, I've learned a lot of hard lessons that have been blessings. I think if we take ourselves, I am a horse that was born in the stable. And you are all horses that are born in stables if you accept where you're from. So as a gypsy, if I carried on my life, which by the way, I wasn't always as upfront about being a gypsy. So why do I say it? Because you know, if I don't, there's 30 people queuing up to tell me that I am. So I'm just taking the skeleton out of the closet and saying, do you know something? But it always annoys me when I say, have you got my watch? Because I think they're serious. The truth is, we're all horses born in the stable. And what I mean by that, we all know where we've come from. We all know what we've endured. It's about accepting that And not with the hang-up. I hear so many people talk about their pasts in a negative way. So let's look at this. I could sit here and tell you stories, the same stories, of things that have happened to me. Like I nearly lost half my hand. I had 4 fingers cut off. I gave the watch back. The point is, there's so many different stories that I could tell, from being stabbed through here, being shot through there. All of those stories. Here's the difference. They were actually all blessings, because I'm still here and I learned from them. When I was 20, I had a £500,000 house, I had a block of flats, a car dealership with a van rental, just before I virtually went bankrupt. And I had mortgages. And the rents were paying the mortgages, the business was paying the mortgages, and I was going forward very steady. And I remember sitting and thinking, I'm never really going to get to the 5, the 6, the 7 million. And I was a millionaire at the time, just. I thought, because how am I going to do it? I was 20. And I thought, maybe I've got to just buy a few more properties, but I'm never going to be wealthy. Not rich, wealthy. The difference between wealthy is, wealthy gives you choices of freedom and not the worry of money. Rich is you drive a great car and live in a great house. You look rich. Wealthy is a whole different story. So I knew I was never going to be wealthy. And I nearly succumbed to the point of accepting that I'd be rich, but I'd never be wealthy. And then the worst thing that could have ever happened to me, I had a murmur collapse across the desk. You all know the story. Lost everything. Managed to, stave on by the skin of my teeth. And I started again. Started with the mobile phone shops. And it was that business that taught me about believing in what you're doing and having other people believe it. You can't row the boat on your own. You can't sail the ship on your own. If you want a battlefield, you have to have generals. You have to have captains. But most importantly, you have to have passion, and they've got to have that passion. Who you want to become is the people that you need to be around. Now, life and success is a ladder, and it really is, in simple terms, just a ladder. And if you think of your life as this beautiful ladder, some people are born halfway up the ladder. Some people are born at the top of the ladder. Some people are born on the bottom of the ladder. So let's just summarise that. By having good people around you, by having good mentors around you, you get to know where some of the rotten rungs are. And you get told to, don't put your foot there, step above them. And the one thing that we're all blessed with, maybe not some of you in the room because you're much younger, but I know that a load of you will be, when your mum said, don't touch the fire. We learn after we touch the bloody fire. My point is, we're now old enough to know when somebody says something's dangerous, we log it. And we're much more cautious how we go about it. That's the beauty about taking mentors on and surrounding yourself with the right people at this time of our life. Never be the teacher in the room. Always be the student. I won't lie to you, I've learned more here today than I've actually given. Believe it or not, I have. Even though I'm the one that's sitting up here talking, I've learned more here today than I've given. And that's not because I'm a great listener. It's not because I'm a great talker. It's because actually I home in onto certain things people say, and my questions are not very, I sound conversational. I'm not. Well, take for instance the gentleman just over there. We spoke about property. He said I was a doctor. I said, did you buy property in Harley Street? Is that right? I said, are you converting them into... My questions were direct because I wanted to know. My information was key. And I remember always watching the film The Lawnmower Man. Did a great job cutting the grass. And in The Lawnmower Man was about a scientist. And there was a guy that used to cut the lawn who was slightly below the threshold of being normal. And yet through the mechanics of what he did to his mind, he became superior in the mind than the scientist. And I always think back to that, even though the film was fictional, that we can all still continue to learn to the end of our day in the nth degree. And wouldn't you rather learn from somebody you want to be and follow that journey than somebody that you don't want to be but they're just fun with because they drink a great pint? You ask me, can anybody be a billionaire? You already are. If you take your mindset from rich to I want to be wealthy. And wealthy means having other people alongside you. Look at Jeff Bezos. Look at Bill Gates. Look at Warren Buffett. There is always many people around them that are nearly as wealthy as them, if not more, that believed in the journey. Who's the guy that just died that was Warren Buffett's? Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger said, and I remember this interview, and I love great people that speak with an honest tongue. And he said, when I first started working with Warren, he said, I knew he'd want to be the captain of the ship. He said, but he sailed the seas better than me, so why would I question it? He believed. And if people believe, they can achieve. It's up to you to get people on your journey, to get them to believe. If you pay them to come to work, they'll only ever work for you. The reason that we have cults around the world is why? Because they believe. And a business should be no different. Believe to achieve.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alfie Best.
What I learned was, after being stabbed, shot, stabbed in the arm, through there I was completely shot. Never upset the wife. But I don't lie, because I haven't got the time or the effort. You know, I was in the strip club last night. I lied.
We were meant to keep that quiet, right?
I want to be a superstar singer. It's just unfortunately I can't sing a note.
So
I must ask, you're not going to try and become a singer either, are you?
we shared the same dream. So what we should have done after the strip club was go to the karaoke bar.